Breaking news coming in, India has launched a strong protest at the death of 3 Indian minor children in a ceasefire violation by Pakistan. Pakistan's Deputy High Commissioner R. Syed Haider Shah was summoned by the Indian government. It was conveyed to Pakistan's envoy that such deliberate targeting of civilians was not acceptable and that it was against humanitarian norms and practices. Pakistan troops fired at Indian border villages and posts in the Poonch sector on Monday. Strong concern was also expressed at the continued unprovoked firing by Pakistan forces across the line of control and the international boundary in violation of the 2003 ceasefire understanding between the two countries. Now, just pointing out that 503 such cases of violations, ceasefire violations, have been reported to have been carried out by Pakistani Rangers so far during 2017. Let's get in more details from WION senior correspondent Raghavendra. This is something that we've seen between the two countries, but Monday's, violence was something that had to be brought up and taken up with Pakistan. So it's pretty much on the expected lines. Give us a sense of what more details do you have?
Well, absolutely, and the Indian side has minced no words in telling the Pakistani authorities that this kind of unprovoked ceasefire violations, they are not the done thing. And also it has been pointed out that these ceasefire violations have been going on rather frequently for the past few days. Now the ceasefire violations and the heavy firing which was witnessed from the Pakistani side on Monday, it led to the death of 3 civilians, 3 minors, and also led to injuries to a lot many people. In fact, cattle was also targeted. A large number of cattle also died during this unprovoked firing. So the Indian side has summoned the Pakistani High Commissioner and has issued a démarche. It's a strong protest which they have lodged, saying that unprovoked ceasefire violations, they go against the spirit of the ceasefire agreement which was agreed to between the two countries as early as 2003. Also the fact that this year alone we have seen over 500 ceasefire violations from the Pakistani side. That has been underlined, that has been communicated to the Pakistani side. So it's standard diplomatic procedure.
And that's important, Raghavendra. The number that you mentioned, more than 500 cases of ceasefire violation in this year of 2017 alone, and that's a huge number. And often we see DGMO level talks taking place between the two sides, but even that has really failed to communicate to the Pakistani side India's concerns. What will it take for them to pay attention to the situation along the border with India is another question at this point.
Well, Sana, it needs to be understood that these ceasefire violations are not without purpose. This is not random firing which the Pakistani side engages in. It is often used as a cover to infiltrate or push terrorists into the Indian territory. 9 times out of 10, a ceasefire violation would be aimed at pushing more and more militants and terrorists from banned outfits into the Indian territory. So it has to be seen in that context. Also the fact that the number of infiltration bids into the Indian territory, they have not reduced over the past few months. In fact, they have only gone up. And despite so many of these infiltration attempts being thwarted by the Indian security forces, these attempts continue to be made because the thinking on the other side appears to be that they are ready to face collateral damage, but they are willing to pay a price for it. But even if they manage to sneak in some degree, some percentage of the number of terrorists they are wanting to push into India, it serves their purpose. Now, these are the terrorists who then, once they manage to infiltrate into the Indian territory now, and then they have the
Absolutely, Raghavendra. In fact, one would remember not too long ago in a security briefing, we heard that over 100 terrorists, in fact, are believed to have already infiltrated, crossed over from Pakistan's side. And even though security forces are carrying out more and more targeted operations to nab these terrorists, but with the continued ceasefire violations, which are also used as a cover for infiltration, the situation continues to be, stagnant if you look at the number of terrorists who come in and the number that the security forces actually gun down.
Absolutely. So as I was saying, these ceasefire violations, they are carried out with a specific purpose. These are not random ceasefire violations. They are meant to serve a purpose. The purpose being, providing covering fire to terrorists who are waiting along the LOC or the international border, waiting to sneak into Indian territory. Now, often these ceasefire violations end up causing huge collateral damage because there are areas, there are villages near the LOC as well as the international border where there is civilian population living there. Many of these people have farms there. Many of them have agricultural land. Many of those till those lands and to make a living. So these are the people who are the first sufferers of any ceasefire violation, and that is what we witnessed on Monday when these miners got killed.
Thanks so much, Raghavendra, for joining us with the very latest inputs and also perspective on the situation at the border and the latest breaking news that we're reporting for our viewers. Now,